right. All right, good morning and welcome to the March 26th County Council meeting. If we could all stand. Pledge of Allegiance. Jane, will you kick us off?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan. Present. Mr. Mokel. Here. Mr. Hughes. Here. Mr. Whitehead. Present. Mr. Cantz. Yes. Piper.
Here.
Mr. Freeman.
All right, just a reminder, questions from the public may be directed to County Council dist@co.delaware.in.us. Again, that's County Council dist@co.delaware.in.us. Marissa, was the agenda posted? Yes, ma'am. At this time, we'll entertain an approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan. Yes. Mr. Mokel. Yes. Mr. Hughes. Yes. Mr. Whitehead. Yes. Mr. Cantz. Yes. Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the February 27th County Council minutes.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Any comments on this?
Yes, I have a comment. At the last meeting, I was doing some thank yous to the sheriff's office, and I misspoke and said Corporal Ward, but it's Corporal Wyatt that I'd really like to thank for the ride-along, and I want to make sure that not only got corrected in the minutes, but that he got recognition for it at a meeting. And I've made other corrections to Marissa, and I believe she's gotten them out to us.
Any other comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan. Yes. Mr. Mokel. Yes. Mr. Hughes. Yes. Mr. Whitehead. Yes. Mr. Cantz. Yes. Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, we'll now move on to our transfer and appropriation agenda.
Starting out in County General, 1,000, we have Auditor 126, A 103, Settlement, Senior Settlement Deputy Budget Advisor, negative 23,191.56. B 103, Finance Deputy, positive 23,191.56. D 102, Chief Deputy, negative 27,692.42. E 102, Chief Deputy, positive 27,692.42, transfer 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. These are just backfilling. Do we have any additional questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan. Yes. Mr. Hughes. Yes. Mr. Cantz. Yes. Mr. Mokel. Yes. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead. Yes. Ms. Piper.
Yes. Okay, moving on.
Jail 145, we have D 153, Correctional Officer, negative $30,320. E 153, Correctional Officer, positive $30,320 for a total transfer of 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. We've got some more backfilling. Do we have any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan. Yes. Mr. Hughes. Yes. Mr. Cantz. Yes. Mr. Mokel. Yes. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead. Yes. Ms. Piper.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Communications 124, C 134, Communication Tech, negative $30,692.34. D 134, Communication Tech, positive $30,692.34. Total transfer 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Again, more backfilling. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan. Yes. Mr. Hughes. Yes. Mr. Cantz. Yes. Mr. Mokel. Yes. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead. Yes. Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Public Defenders 139, 156, Investigator, negative $2,000. A 156, Investigator, negative $2,000. 313, Psychological Testing, positive $4,000. Total transfer 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. I'll let you go ahead and explain the psych testing needs for us.
Hi, Shelley Harvey, Public Defender's Office. We had an open position. Our investigator retired. So we are in the process of hiring a new investigator, except that we are revamping the job description and so have not had a new job description approved or completed. So we are acting as our own investigators right now, our staff is. But we are running woefully shy on psych testing funds. This is where defendants ask for a defense-only psych evaluation. And so, unfortunately, I'm giving you a pre-warning, I'm gonna be back asking for more money in that fund. We blew through that, and what the psych evaluations do when the defense counsel asks for them, is two purposes. It's one, to save the courts from having to hire two doctors if our public defenders find that a defense of insanity or the defense of incompetency to stand trial, if the first doctor finds that, you know, he doesn't meet that criteria, then our public defenders don't go ahead and file those defenses. So then the courts don't have to have two psych evaluations, as they do after we file those defenses. But, and it's also, it is in an effort of brevity or time saving, where if the doctor comes back and says, no, 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 then our public defender knows just not to go ahead with it.
So in a way, you're saving the courts.
Trying to, but unfortunately.
I'm sure Emily, the courts are pretty nice, appreciate it.
Well, and unfortunately, a lot of our reports are coming back that the doctor, I'm not saying a lot. I'm saying 25% of our reports are coming back that they believe that this defendant is incompetent to stand trial.
You said the 4,000 would do about 3 evaluations, is that correct?
Yes,
Say that again, Shelley. 25% of are coming back as not being competent.
right.
That seems like a high number.
It is a high number, and a lot of it is due to they've spent their lives on drugs and have ruined, whatever it is that keeps them from doing right from wrong. It's a terrible situation, and I know Emily can attest to it. It's just bad. And a lot of then when we have to go forward with the courts, we have to reevaluate twice. They're coming back incompetent to stand trial too. So it's not a tactic or anything like that. It's a real thing.
I'm just curious, what happens with these people?
So if you are found incompetent to stand trial, they typically, are evaluated by the Indiana Mental Health Association to decide what facility they would best be, served. And so then they go to a state-funded facility until they are found competent to stand trial. And then they come back and are tried. Yeah, if they come back at all.
Shelley, and your best guess, how much more money will you need to get through the end of the year for psych testing?
I'm embarrassed to say, but I think probably 20,000. I'm gonna see what other money I can move around. I was thankful to have this 4,000, but, I'm going to be coming back, and I'm gonna see where I can move around other funds, before I ask for money. But I know it's inevitable, and I hate it.
Good job finding that 4,000.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's a good job finding that 4,000
Thank
within your
you.
budget.
Thank you.
Not have to ask for an appropriation. I know that probably won't be the case all year, but thanks for this one.
Do you have any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Scantz.
Yes.
Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes,
Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay, next we have assessor, 134, A, 102, chief deputy, negative 27,772.18. B, 102, chief deputy, positive 27,772.18. Total transfer, 0.
Motion to approve.
Second?
motion by Ryan, second by Dan. This is more backfilling. Do we have any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Easy enough, James.
Plan Commission, 148. We have 105, Environmental and Development Planner, negative 41,714. A 105, Environmental and Development Planner, positive 41,714. 109, Planning Technician, negative 30,833. A 109, Planning Technician, positive 30,833. A 102, Principal Planner, negative 39,320. B 102, Principal Planner, positive 39,320. B 107, Office Manager, negative 27,634.62. C 107, Office Manager, positive 27,634.62. Total transfer, 0.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. And this actually isn't backfilling, it's just moving positions around in the department with some promotions, correct? Do we have any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Thank you.
Recorder, 128. F 102, Chief Deputy, negative 38,209. G 102, Chief Deputy, positive 38,209. Total transfer, 0.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. We've got some backfilling here. Do we have any additional questions for Jan? I
have
think
a-
Jan has something to share with
yes.
us.
I was gonna say, I would like to meet you,
Yes,
Chief
I
Deputy.
just wanted to take this minute, I'm sure some have heard, but if you haven't, our office is honored and blessed to have Paula Morrison join our office family as the Chief Deputy Recorder.
So I have family all over the courthouse,
There you go.
and I'm blessed for this opportunity. Thank you.
Well, welcome.
Any other questions?
I don't know if I can ever recall a meeting where we've had 3 chief deputies in the same meeting.
Probably not.
So, history making at the same time, I guess.
There you go.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
Sheriff, 129. D 129, Deputy, negative 40,670.73. E 129, Deputy, positive 40,670.73. Total transfer, 0.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Again, more backfilling. We have a lot of that this time. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Circuit Court, 138. A 106, Assistant Court Reporter, negative 24,425.30. B 106, Assistant Court Reporter, positive 24,425.30. Total transfer, 0.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Again, backfilling. Any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to other, we have Highway 1176. 153, Certified Welder, negative 37,675.76. A 153, Certified Welder, positive 37,675.76. Total transfer, 0.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. We're backfilling for a welder who retired. Do we have any additional questions?
You commented that you're not having much luck finding one at this point.
We have not. So we have the job posted. So, we've had a couple people seek applications, but we don't have anything turned in yet.
So if you have a welder certification, apply today.
Send them our way.
I have a question. Has anyone considered like reaching out to like Ivy Tech or any of those courses that offer welding certificates?
That was brought up last week, so we are gonna start that process as well.
Okay. You probably have some good luck out there. I'm sure there's somebody eager to get started.
Yeah, we'll see what we can get.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
An eligible homestead, 1216. A103, settlement budget advisor, negative 2,000, 665.38. D102, chief deputy, positive 2,000, 665.38. Total transfer, 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. It was discussed in finance committee. This is just following an employee who changed positions. Is that correct?
Correct.
Any additional questions?
I do.
Yep.
I've got actually a couple things on this. So typically when we do transfer, like everyone that we just did leading up to this one, those have all been the same position, right? One chief deputy leaves, another chief deputy replaces them, easy peasy. This is the first time that I've ever seen where we're asking to take the money that we've previously previously budgeted for a certain position and asking us to take that money from that position and moving it to a new position. Since I've been up here for 4 years, we've never done that. As I looked a little bit further into it, if I believe it's the individual is moving to be the chief deputy and wanted to take those funds with us. Currently, the chief deputy right now is making $40,000. And I looked it up because I think I checked Matt's notes and it said something about bring it in line with other chief deputies. And every other chief deputy, where did it go? Okay, auditors at 40,000, the clerks at 40,000, the recorders at 38,209, the treasurer at 38,209. If we transfer this money, that's going to make that chief deputy for the auditor at $42,665, significantly higher than any other auditor. Be the highest, or I'm sorry, any other chief deputy would be the highest one in the county. How we got to this position was that particular position before 95% of it is the salary is paid out of a certain fund, the general fund. I believe when Donna was running it, 95% of it is paid out of that particular fund. And she did quite a bit of a workload, 40 years experience, she did a lot. So I believe the previous council had come up with some plan to give her an additional $3,000 or $4,000 out of this line item that we're discussing right now, almost as an extra kick to her salary. We couldn't really raise it any other way for those duties. When she left, that somehow remained in place. I think it did get reduced a little bit, but it did remain in place. So we take this right now and transfer it with the position. Not only are we going to make it higher than any chief deputy else that we have, whoever then fills that role is having that taken from them. But it's not really having it taken from them because that's what's on our appropriations later on in the meeting where we're appropriating $2,655. If we don't transfer this money, we don't need to make this appropriation because that money stays with that position. And typically when someone takes a position, the salary, and you accept it or you don't accept it. We don't generally take money from one salary position and transfer it with a different position. That's generally not the case. My suggestion would be, outside of the fact that this is essentially kind of becomes a raise in the middle of the season, is what I call it, in the middle of the, we're not in budget time. I would make a recommendation to just do the duties and earn the dollar amount that you're making at this time, and then have the auditor put this in the request for the budget that we're gonna go over in September. And then I don't have an objection to the salary amount, the dollar amount. I have an objection to the process to what we're doing right now.
I guess I thought my understanding was this is kind of the money that we give to the individual who handles all of our budget process, budget season. It's almost like a stipend situation. And the employee who, A103, is now D102. It's the same person, right?
I believe so.
Yes.
I
And we'll
believe
be
so.
continuing to do those duties, which is what this money paid for, to do all of our budget stuff that will be coming up.
That's correct, because, we have 2 new people that's going to be training with the settlement and the budget. However, they will be training, so someone has to train them, and that's going to be me. So this was following me for that reason.
Okay. I'm just pointing out,
Yeah, and it previously had gone to the individual who was handling all of our budget fund, so it,
Yeah, the chief deputy previously did receive those funds.
okay,
So this is not anything new, it's how it was done before.
I'm not objecting to that at all. What I'm,
I thought that's what your objection was.
no, what I'm I understand that that's what the chief deputy did. My objection is to transfer from one position to another in the middle of the fiscal year. That's something that we would typically do at budget time. That's why I said that, I mean, I looked at I think what you're making now is probably the same amount. It would be the difference of just making that same amount of money that you're making now and just doing this the proper time at budget time.
Actually, the chief deputy position is less than I was making.
That's what I'm getting at. What you're making now is more than that. So why wouldn't we just stick with that until budget time? I think you're making like 42 or somewhere. I mean, I'm
So your suggestion is to take a pay cut, is what you're saying.
I'm not asking, no, I'm saying do the duties of
What's
what
the
you're
results
saying.
of your request?
I'm sorry,
What would be the results of your request?
to follow protocol and do it at the budget time.
That they would reduce their pay.
No. I'm not asking you to make, what I'm asking is on paper, to not go to the chief deputy pay of 40,000, to continue making the pay that you're making right now, which would basically be about what it would be if we transfer this over and then do this the proper way.
I guess my understanding was that because of the large number of retirements in the auditor's office, they're undergoing a restructuring. And, that's to me a sort of special circumstance that would warrant making the adjustments now instead of making them wait until essentially January of 2025. Because if you make changes in the budget, those don't take effect for another 3 or 4 months after that. So that's the reason that this made sense to me.
Well, just be prepared when we sit here in September. I count 1, 2, 3 different departments that's gonna be showing up asking their chief deputies to also get a $4,000 increase, a $2,000 increase. But we'll have to deal with that then.
any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
No.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Moving on, DCCC, project income, 1122. B 130, CAD case, did I say that right? B 130, CAD case manager, negative $5,000. B 119, CAD case manager, positive $5,000, total transfer 0.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Would you like to explain this one for us, Jane?
Yes, Jane Miranda, Community Corrections. We had a case manager leave last year, went to the parole, agency because of salary, basically. This position is one that takes over a year for the individual to get certified and be able to do the job on their own. The current, case manager in that position makes about $7,000 less than other case managers in our office. So in an effort to make sure this young man stays with us, we took it to our advisory board, and the advisory board approved for us to increase his salary. So that's what this is.
All right, any questions?
So you're asking for a salary increase in the middle of the fiscal year, correct?
Yes,
Based off of the recommendation that you received.
correct.
I would just make the same argument I just made a minute ago, that we're kind of getting this. This is what my concern was last year when the prosecutor come up there and asked for extra money. And I said, this is gonna open the floodgates. And people are gonna come and ask for salary increases outside of September. And nothing against you,
So-
Ms. Jane, but
You said you had 2 case managers, now you're down to 1, and the one is currently getting underpaid compared to all the rest of the case managers.
Yeah, compared to the case managers in like our drug court and veterans
Sure.
court, it's the same job description, same, certifications. I don't know why that salary has been lower compared to the others.
Do you have
So
the
this-
balance, do you have the balance of the project income right now?
Off my, Melissa will be here in a little bit. At our board meeting a couple of weeks ago, our project income balance was about 265,000.
Have any additional questions?
I just want to reiterate what I said, and I would encourage the council to follow the protocol that we set previously of doing salary increases in the budget session.
And I'd like to pose a question to you then, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
If you've got an underpaid staff member and you're short-staffed as well, in order to keep an employee and bring them up to par with everybody else, because we've done it before here where we've said, all right, everybody's got to make $30,000 a year. I mean, the rest of us voted for that person to get 30. Why are you opposed to this one person also not being able to make what his peers make?
I'm not opposed to any one person. I wasn't opposed to this person. I'm not opposed to that person. What I'm opposed to is deviating from our processes that have been set, that we do salary increases during the budget time. This is no different than private businesses all throughout this town where there's employees aren't making what they think they should make and they cannot get their pay increase until a certain time period of the year. This is normal. This is life. Not everything is fair. Not everyone gets exactly what the person next to them is making. I'm not objecting to the increase. I'm objecting to deviating from the problem. We're in month 3. Hell, if we're gonna do all this in March, what's the point of even doing a budget in September? We're just gonna change it all come March. I mean, I don't understand why we're getting outside of what our budget was set.
Being a business owner, I make a budget all the time for our business. If you don't have the ability to adapt and change, you may lose a good employee. And if Jane says we've got a good employee, and I know we didn't etch it in stone, a budget's a good guideline to go with. But right now, I feel like supporting this to keep a case manager is worth it.
Well, that's a valid argument, but I also want to remind you this. Flashback to when we were in September. We started off in the hole like $8 million. We had to fight and claw to come up and get back to where we were flush for the year. Every dime that we put out going forward until we get to that point is coming off of that number.
No,
When we
you're
got-
wrong.
when we
That's
got to-
general
hold on,
money, and
let me
this is
finish.
their
Not my
project
budget.
income money.
Outside of the
I'm
general.
just talking about as a council, as our policy and procedures is how we get in a habit of doing this. I'm not talking about this specific dollar request. I'm talking about if we make this the normal protocol, this is what we get into. And when we got into last year's budget time, at that point, we had appropriated double the amount from the previous year at that same time period. What I'm getting at is at some point, we have to follow our standards and protocols that we set, or we're gonna be put in the same position. That's all.
Well, if you remember during budget season, we treated those funds that were outside of county general differently. If they had the money, they got raises. Folks in county general didn't get that perk necessarily. So when they have different monies coming in and it's outside of county general, they're tied to only what they're getting in through the different income sources or grants or whatever. So I do think that this, and the previous, ask was, it's different because it's outside of county general. I do want to also correct, we weren't in the whole $8 million. When people bring their budgets in, they have to come in over, because when we start, when we get to the budget process, you can't ask for more. And so that's why you see people come in with these large requests, because they know that we can't give them any more than they put in. So that $8 million, yeah, it sounds really big, but we all know that it's more of a wish list, and then we have to, reel it back in and smooth it out and get back to an appropriate place for our operating balance. But these are outside of county general, so I hold them in a different bucket than the rest, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that,
Thank you for clarifying that. I'm sorry, projected.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. Sorry, Matt.
which is true, and I think that brings up a point about how we do our budget in general, which I think needs to be discussed at some point regardless, because ultimately we get in the same boat, and to Ryan's point, he's not incorrect that it opens up a can of worms, but in the business world, that isn't really how it works. That's not, you have to have flexibility, like Eugene said. We have to be able to retain folks. We gotta be able to adjust. So I do think that there's flexibility required no matter what policies, procedures, which I don't even think that standards and protocols are different than policies and procedures. Doesn't mean we're not doing those things, because here we are physically doing them. So it's it's an understandable argument, and I don't disagree with you. I do think that we need a better snapshot at the end of our year or July timeframe, September timeframe, so that we can see those differences more effectively. Because if you don't have history of 4 years like you two have, we don't have that. We don't see those numbers. We can't tell the difference between who came back for $6,000 more than the other person because we don't see the balances as they are at the end of the year. So those are changes I think we need to look at overall. But in terms of this thing, I mean, you know,
Won't necessarily apply to this, but we're also awaiting the results of our salary survey. And I think that will be a helpful guideline going forward.
I'm glad you said that. That to me, that's all the more reason why I think we should pause on doing some of this.
I assume this is not gonna be included in that disposition.
I actually messaged Kent yesterday, and he said that they're in the process of collecting the salary survey data and finishing job descriptions. And they are waiting on a handful of descriptions to be returned. So he'll give me an update on when he plans to have that finished for us here soon.
I am a part, community corrections is a part of
Are you
the,
in that?
we
Okay.
are, but there was a caveat that they know they can't really do anything about our salaries.
All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Flanagan. With respect to Mr. Webb's, position, because I don't believe he's wrong, I am gonna vote yes. Mr. Hughes.
Yes?
Mr. Cantz.
yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
No.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Thank you.
I have another one too.
Oh, that's it. You're up
Yep.
still.
Round two.
Yep, round two, the same thing.
So we have DCCC DOC grant, 9220, 110, jail diversion coordinator, negative 35,504.98. A110 HD case manager, positive 31,504.98. 112 surveillance supervision, positive $4,000 for a total transfer of zero.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. I'll let you explain this one as well.
This is also a small salary increase for an existing supervisor. When the, jail diversion Vivitrol, coordinator left, she left in January, we decided to restructure home detention to have 2 daily supervisors, just to help expedite things through the courts and get evaluations done. We have approximately 190 individuals on home detention, with 85 of them in treatment as well. So it is a lot, it's very time consuming, and we were asking our surveillance supervisor to step up and do duties that were a part of the home detention department on a regular basis. So we hired a case manager instead of a supervisor for the Vivitrol program, and then are just moving that grant money over to the surveillance supervisor because he is vastly underpaid as well compared to other supervisors.
It's something I brought up during finance committee too, is if the grants monies change and are less, and this money's not available, this individual knows that they would not receive that moving forward if the money wasn't there.
Yes.
Do you have any additional questions?
You still have the same number of employees in this restructuring?
Yes.
Does all of this grant money have to be used up at the end?
Does, yes. That's why we lost $40,000 for this year, because in years past, we had not utilized all of our grant money and we lost it. So last year, we finished at 0 on every single grant, so.
Moving this money around, does it still fall under the umbrella of what needs to be used for the grant purposes?
Yes.
All right, any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes. Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
For the sake of consistency, I'm gonna vote no.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Miranda?
Moving on to appropriations. We don't have any in county general this time, so good work, team.
Okay, so under other, we have Fair and Expo, Fairgrounds, 4911, 384 Grandstand, positive $10,000, 391 Eclipse 2024, positive $6,000, 392 Cobra Con, positive $3,000, for a total of $19,000.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Donna, I'll let you explain what you got going on at the grandstand this year.
We have we have one new event, which is, micro wrestling. And some of our other expenses, have went up in cost, so that is to cover those expenses.
What is Cobra Con?
Fireworks,
Fireworks.
basically, they come and, they have like a, I don't know if you wanna call it a convention. It's not open to the public. They, have groups that come in and set off the fireworks, and it's over a 3-day period.
I think I remember something about that last year.
Yeah,
People
we had it
complaining about
last year.
fireworks or whatever going off.
Yeah.
Can you educate me on the eclipse part? I know that you guys are inviting people to like come camp out and everything. Help me understand the expense for that.
We have expenses for advertising, porta pots, security.
Okay. And all of this,
Hopefully we won't use all that money, but at the time when I had to estimate it, that's what we come up with.
and
Plus plus I had revenue coming in from the camping that we hadn't anticipated, so.
when we did the budget, was we not anticipating the eclipse then?
No,
I've seen a lot of people didn't anticipate the eclipse, and they're like, what are we gonna do Monday, Tuesday?
yeah,
You're right about that.
I'm really not seeing the problem.
Just a reminder that they do have $353,000 in their funds.
All right, any additional questions?
Okay, really?
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan. Yes. Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt. Yes. Ms. Piper.
Yes. Thank you.
Ball Brothers High Tech Crimes Unit, 9214, 393 schooling, positive 12,749.69 for a total of 12,749.69.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. This is allocating just the remaining funds for the grant, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Any additional questions?
Just this dries it up, right? Runs it to zero?
Chuck Zimmer's Director, High Tech Crime Center. Yes.
Thank you, Chuck.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan. Yes. Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt. Yes. Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Eligible standard deduction 1216, 1216, or C111, insurance deputy. Excuse me, $2,655, total $2,655.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan.
We get an explanation on this.
Yeah.
Basically, this is for the secretary, this is Melissa. She's taking, Marissa's taking care of secretarial duties for the commissioners and council. So she's added those duties to her position. That's what that's for.
So previously, that was a full
Full-time
job,
position.
a full-time job, and,
Plan on filling that full-time job again?
We're gonna move that person's duties into finance area. That's where we need, all the audits are taking place.
Will that line item have a reduction in salary?
Not through the rest of this year, but next year, we can look at that. Because that line doesn't change. This is coming, because that line came out of the general. This is coming out of a different fund.
So you're asking for an appropriation now and anticipating a reduction next year in the general.
Can't say that. Because then that person would, I want to make that 31,000.
But they'd have a reduction in duties.
No,
they have
they'd
different
be in
duties.
finance, totally different job.
Okay.
Because previously that job was full-time that she's doing now. So now she essentially took those duties on and the duties she had before in insurance.
I don't know that I'm following.
So if I understand right, this is what I was talking about earlier when we were talking about transferring the money out before, and I believe, this is essentially kind of like the same thing. It's a pay raise in the middle of the fiscal year. That's what it comes down to. I believe Ed said there's some increased responsibility, so they wanted to, increase the pay $2,655. And I would say the same thing I said earlier, put that in the budget and we can discuss it in September is my personal opinion.
Well, and keep in mind too, we're outside of county general.
I understand that.
Do you have any additional questions for the auditor?
Well, I'm not following. So what, so Marissa's taking, what is her line item?
She's taken all the duties that Denise previously had,
I know, but like,
on top of what she was doing previously,
okay.
okay? So
What,
it's,
I don't know that we know the
do we know
numbers.
what she was? Is
C
she the
one eleven, I believe.
C-111?
That's what it says on here.
Okay.
We didn't have anything budgeted for that for, 2024. Zero, same with 2023.
Well, then there may be a D. Are you sure you,
There's no 111s at all on that page
Okay.
besides this one. I looked, this is one of the things I looked at last night when I was preparing for today.
yeah,
We didn't have anything budgeted in that line item for 2023. We didn't budget anything in that line item for 2024. This is basically, again, essentially the same thing that what we did for the chief deputy, adding that particular part to the salary. And if you clear out all the numbers and all the smoke, it's a salary increase. Simple as that. Can't make it any more clear. It's a in-season salary increase. No matter what fund you pull it from, no matter what fancy fund we put it in, that's what it comes down to.
What's the difference in, what Marissa has to do for the commissioners versus Sarah or whoever they have working for them?
Sarah's the administrator, she has nothing to do with doing secretarial. Sarah does set up here and take all the minutes.
Okay.
And track all the ordinances and resolutions. She's the administrator for the commissioners. Completely different job duties.
So then, Ed, Eugene, you were saying we didn't replace Denise, we're replacing Denise, and then we're adding to her duties, basically, or we're not replacing Denise at all, but we're gonna take some of that money and put it to Marissa.
No. I didn't say that.
That's where I'm confused.
Okay. So Denise is retiring.
Yep.
And she won't, that pay line won't be finished till sometime in May.
Because of longevity and stuff.
Right.
Okay.
So that position's open.
Okay.
So we have no one filling those duties.
Okay.
Marissa's stepped up to fill those duties.
Gotcha.
So now she's increased her workload. And the question is, do we pay her more for the increased her workload? Right.
But there is no plan to replace the other position at this point.
That position duties are gonna change. We've already submitted those to the third party that's doing our, evaluations for salaries.
Okay.
That's gonna be a finance position.
Okay.
Similar to what these two young ladies up here did. So they're gonna have completely different responsibilities. As when after May, that pay line gets paid out.
Okay. So TBD.
I just wanna ask one question for clarification. So is this because we're paying somebody out who has vacation time and other paid time off in order to get somebody covering these duties? We have to appropriate this money?
Well, this money's for the entire year. So it's
Okay.
not,
So it's not just then,
not just that, this 30-day period or 60-day period.
so she has her insurance role, and then this would be like the bonus of doing these duties for us and the commissioners.
And I guess I would characterize it opposed to just a straight pay increase as part of this restructuring process. And yeah, it's gonna cost this additional money from this fund. But it's gonna also get the job done, that's what.
I'd like to just offer one little bit of word of caution to the council. Everybody in that chair out there has lifted extra slack from someone when they were short in their office and increased their work duties. Every single person in this building has worked in an office where we've been shorthanded, and that person has had to do a little extra work for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Not every single person came in and asked for a salary increase in the middle of the fiscal year. I understand, and I hate the way our retirement works, the way we accumulate so much money that we can't fill that position until that money runs out. But again, to Mr. Whitehead's point, we're almost in April. This money runs out in May, so we got a couple weeks. We're talking about a $2,655 increase for doing a little bit extra work for a few weeks.
She's doing it forever.
She's been for the rest of the year.
Put it in the budget.
She's doing
request.
the work that a full-time person was required to do before.
I totally
Not a little
understand.
bit,
I'm just,
unless you're characterizing the person that before as a little bit.
not mischaracterizing it, I'm saying put it in
That's
the
what you
budget.
said.
I'm saying put it in the budget request in June, and we'll do it in September. This isn't the protocol. We gotta have some protocol. This isn't the way we do it. I mean, we just ripped off 5, 6 salary increases in freaking March.
But it's no different than budget season when we gave increases to the folks who are outside of county general. These funds are all outside of county general
But we
again.
didn't in budget season.
Yeah, we
didn't
did.
do it.
We treated them differently.
We did it then. We didn't do it for these people then. We specifically, for a reason, did not make these salary increases in September. But what I'm saying is, I'm not opposed to the increase. I'm opposed to us deviating from our process. This is gonna open up floodgates that is gonna be dealing with this every single month. That's all I got to say about it.
Right, roll call, please.
Ms. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Ms. Cantz.
No,
Ms. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
No,
Ms. Whitehead.
no,
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Motor vehicle highway restrictive, 1173. 312 contractual services, 250,509.62, for a total of 250,509.62.
motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Do you want to go ahead and explain this one? Actually, the one below it is tied to this as
Yes,
well.
so, the MVH, the 1173, and the MVH, the 9076. The 9076 is our community crossing matching. So this is all tied together for one project. The 1173 is coming out of our restricted, that is our match money. Our grant award was the 250,509.61. And this is for a project, for paving on 350 North in between State Road 67 and 400 East. It's approximately 2.25 miles and 20 feet wide average.
Is it paving 350 north or it's roads out off of 350 north?
It's paving 350 North from 67 to 400 East.
Awesome.
so,
We've received 3 bids, and we took the lowest one, and that is with Brooks.
How far is the paving?
It's
Might
gonna-
have said it, I might have missed it.
2.25 miles.
and you had kind of insinuated that EB or a business that's there, that road gets torn up.
They do have a lot of traffic in and out of there, yes. IMI did submit a bid for 503,000. Brooks was 501,000, and Milestone was 712,000.
Where's Brooks located?
Marion or Fort Wayne,
Fort Wayne.
Is IMI not local? They are local.
They have a local facility.
Yeah.
They're not headquartered here.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. Thank you.
I have a separate question. Did we apply to the next level local communities grants that was just awarded by NDOT?
the community crossing grant.
No, it's, well, I'm not, Yeah, local, infrastructure. This was just announced, 155 million to, rural portions of Indiana to invest in local road and bridge improvements. They've just announced in March. I don't think it's community crossings.
Not that I'm aware of, but Angie Moyer, our project director, is the one that would be over that.
Yeah, that's something you're probably gonna have to talk to Angie about. I'm sure she applied for it. If it's out there, Angie applied for it. She's hitting everything that there is to apply for. I can't speak for her, but that's not anything we would apply for.
Okay.
at the
So we didn't
highway
get any money that you're aware
Right.
of then.
If we could, we'd be trying to.
That
get
I'm
it.
aware of.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, Tommy, how long is it gonna take you guys to do this road right here, just doing, and like, when can you start?
So this is contracted out.
Yes, it's contracted out. So
Oh, right, with the paving company, but how long is it gonna take?
I think they have 120 days to get it done.
Okay.
It isn't gonna take
it's,
anywhere
it,
close
it
to
won't
that.
even be close to that. Once they get in there and get started, they'll be out of there.
And then while they're doing stuff like that, your crews will be doing some of that, like chip and seal and
I
some
mean,
of the stuff that you guys
we'll be
generally do.
paving somewhere else too. I mean, during paving season, we'll be paving. They'll do this probably right when we're paving also, you know, so.
Awesome.
350 is a busy road because of IMI, so you really better off having contractors and getting there with 35 trucks.
Is that the road that goes?
Well,
right
it's
when
not
you
the
pull
fact,
IMI? Okay.
it's not the fact we couldn't do it. We could have done it,
Good if you got-
but with the community crossing, it was a good road to put in there for the community crossing,
I got
you
you.
know.
Yeah.
With
I
what you're
don't
saying.
know that this is gonna be done at night, but it could be a very good possibility because it is a high
It is,
traveled road.
yeah. And it's gonna be a mess getting trucks in and out of the pit and getting paved, just like you said, exactly.
Would you contact, Angie just to make sure that she's followed through with, this particular grant that just became available?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, any additional questions for this first MVH request?
I was gonna say, are we voting on these as a pair, or are we?
No, because we didn't read them in together,
Okay.
so, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Mr. Piper.
Yes. All right,
City Crossing Matching Grant, Motor Vehicle Highway 9076, 310, Contractual Services, 250,000, 509.61, total 250,000, 509.61.
Motion to approve.
Second.
motion by Ryan, second by Dan.
Tanya, didn't you say you were renaming this?
We did, CCMG, we just needed to add that too.
Okay, yeah, it's not on the
It went on the
spreadsheet.
paper when we were in finance,
What's that mean?
Community Crossing Matching Grant.
As soon as you said it, it made sense.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Ms. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Statewide 911, 1222. We have machinery equipment, 443, PSAP equipment, positive $15,000 for a total of $15,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Would you like to explain what you're working on with your plan here?
Yeah, so we finally have a plan for the computers. Finally figured out a replacement schedule for them that was not available at budget time. This is how statewide 911 pays for these. So this year it pays for 7 desktops and 2 laptops. Next year will be 5 desktops. The following year will be 7. We have them on a rotation now because we have to replace the main terminal computers every 2 years. So.
Fred, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna ask if you had any additional questions, so go ahead.
You know, that's something that I've said here, harped on to everybody about getting on a program to replace your computers on a regular basis instead of coming up and asking for a bunch of them at one time, and I really appreciate that.
Could you just, for the sake of clarity for the public, explain, so, for example, this is coming out of your state 911 fund, you got $1.7 million in that fund. Could you explain to people who are wondering why you're getting computers and other departments may not be getting those computers? Like,
We
what
have
do
to-
you can only use that money for certain things.
Yeah, you can only use it for certain PSAP equipment. We pay 7 salaries out of that. benefits, everything. So, at budget time last year, we didn't have a good handle on what we needed to replace for computers. I think I mentioned that.
You did.
But now we actually have them on a replacement schedule. So this year, when I present my budget, it'll have money in there for the computers that need to be replaced in 25. And every year forward, it will have the money appropriated. So,
Coming out of the same fund?
yes.
Okay. Thank you for that.
All right, any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes.
Mr. Piper.
Yes. Okay, I was waiting for you to stay up there. Okay,
Surveyor corner perpetuation, 1202, 311, professional services, positive $30,000 for a total of $30,000.
Motion to approve.
Second?
motion by Ryan, second by Dan. I know we had questions during finance committee. What's a cornerstone?
When you go and get your house, surveyed for property lines, typically they'll come off of a cornerstone. They're buried all over the county. And they know where they're, it's a certain point, so it's our job to maintain them, find them, locate them, make sure they're there, record the GPS coordinates. So when surveyors or engineers come in, they can locate them and use them. Something that hasn't been done in the county a lot, and we're trying to get them back to do it. So I just appropriate this money out so I can get a land surveyor to come and do it. We can have the money already appropriated, I can pay him, I don't have to come to another budget meeting and for each bill, just put it all out there at once, and then I always have the money in there to pay him, so.
This is something that's been required, but kind of slipped through the cracks through COVID, correct?
No, it wasn't through COVID, it was when I first got in here, it hadn't been done since 2007.
Oh, wow.
So then I got in here in 17, and then COVID slowed it down. If you try to hire a survey of your property during COVID, it was impossible because everybody was building on, adding on because they weren't working. So it's just now starting to get to the point where there's really only 2 land surveyors in the county that will do this, and it's hard to get them. They're now just starting to get to the point where they're getting caught up because I kind of got them down on price, so they kind of put me towards the end of the list a little bit, but that's part of the deal, so.
Do you know the total number that are out there that you're looking for?
I've got to do 5% a year by Indiana code, and there's thousands of them. I mean, basically every road, there's a couple of them at every intersection, so you can
Really?
imagine they're all over.
So then once you record the GPS, you slowly but surely eventually will get on top of the mountain. You gotta
Right,
worry
but
about
then you just restart from the last one that, there's some of them that haven't been found and maintained since they originally put in back in the 1800s, so we'll never catch up if that's what you're asking, no. But that's why this fund's put
Right.
together, so we can just slowly keep up. I mean, just the
Where does
best.
the
we can-
revenue come from?
Huh?
Where does the
This is the
revenue come?
recording. Every, thing that the recorder office records and takes in money, we get a certain little bit of that, and that gets built up in this fund.
Yeah, the fund has $335,000 in it,
Like I
so
said, it wasn't used for a real long time.
you don't really, yeah, I was gonna say, you don't use a lot out of that fund anyway, so.
So we're gonna buy some computers out of it, since our computers in our office are 12 years old, so.
Is there any mandate on what that money can be used for?
Yeah, it's, since we do a lot of the beacon, and we record some of the cornerstones on the beacon, and then we also do that, the computers or something, office equipment like that, is something that we can use out of it, so that makes it nice, because we don't have to come to county general for that.
Thanks.
All right, any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz. Yes. Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Mr. Piper.
Yes. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, guys, have a good day.
You too.
Local public health services, 1161, 311, contractual inspections, positive 50,706.31, total 50,706.31.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Jamie, I'll let you, explain why you had this extra money.
Okay, so as you guys know, the, local public health services fund came about through the Health First Indiana initiative. I gave some bad information to Councilman Cantz. We had 6 counties that did not opt in. I told you 4 in the financial meeting.
On that last night.
Those 6 counties, their money was divvied up between all the other counties that did opt in. That's resulted in us getting this additional roughly 50,000.
Well, why is the request not for the total amount? Like the request is for 50,700, but you got 51,068 in there.
Those
I mean, to stump you.
those figures are based on like the budget estimate.
Okay, so that's why. Okay, thank you. Disregard.
Thank you, Tanya.
So I was hoping, Jamie, last night we had, Association of Indiana councils, whatever.
Counties, it was
Counties,
Association of
counties.
Indiana Counties last night.
Meeting, and a couple of Henry County and some others were talking about some of what they're doing with these new public health funds. I was hoping, Jamie, you just kind of give us some general idea, updates on what your plans are and where things are heading.
Yeah, so, let's see here, I got some notes with me. That should cover that. We've started out we hired 5 new staff already. That's an increase from 12 to 17, which is huge for us. Our department went from low 20s in the early 2000s down to, I think at our lowest we had 11. That's all with increased duties throughout those years. So moving us back up to 17 is going to be big for what we can accomplish. We have 3 more positions pending that we hope to fill by the end of this year. We're kind of trying to size up how we're going to move forward with those positions before we fill them. So far, we added an environmental health specialist, a public health nurse set to start next week, an environmental health health division assistant, a vital records assistant, and a community health worker, which is our first hire in a new division. We're starting a community health division geared more towards the social work side of things that we do. So the example I always give, I think I've probably given to many of you, our department has long been tasked with dealing with unfit housing. So we would go in, deem a house unfit, the people are removed from the home, and our involvement would stop there. So you can see how we would solve one problem and we would create another. So this new division is going to be an attempt to transition those people from a house, find them help, find them new housing, maybe find them help with the problem that's causing the house to be unfit so we don't have to remove them to begin with. So we've hired 1 person. That's the start of what we hope to have a full division within a few years. Let's see, we've begun meeting with our community partners, IU Health, Open Door, YMCA, trying to assess programs that they have that kind of go along with the things that we hope to accomplish in the near future. With the YMCA, we've already launched 1 new program. We're going to help fund the expansion of their water safety courses. So that's one of the things, as you know, the state has put out a number of core public health services and key performance indicators that are associated. Trauma and injury prevention is one. So we're hoping to increase, if I'm remembering right, it was around a 25% increase in swim lessons being offered. We're hoping to fund the certification of 10 new lifeguards for the community. As some of you may know, that we've had a shortage of lifeguards of all things in the community, which has led to problems with our pools. And the Y is going to launch a new safety around water course. It's kind of an awareness level type of thing for at-risk youth. They have not done that previously. There's been a lot of success at the Indy YMCA's doing this, so Muncie will be doing that as well in partnership with us. We've developed a tattoo and piercing training that we'll be rolling out for other local health departments. So I've sung the praise of our environmental health director, Jeremy, who does our tattoo inspections. Jeremy was a tattoo artist for years, actually had the county's first permitted tattoo facility in the 90s. There's a big gap when it comes to true functional knowledge of what goes on in a tattoo facility and the inspectors that are employed at most health departments to do that work. So recognizing that strength that we hold here in our county, we're in the process of creating the actual, PowerPoint and curriculum. We've already rolled out a pilot training last month, and it was really successful. A couple of local facilities have agreed to work with us on this. They see the value in it. So going in and doing actual tattoo inspections with, in our pilot one, a facility set up one booth properly and they set up another booth with a lot of violations, with no one being told what the violations really were. So our inspector had to go in and through the training process, identify those with the help of the new hires in other departments. So we're hoping to roll that out officially, probably May or June, and we hope to hold it as like a monthly course where we'll take probably only 4 to 5 people at a time due to space limitations in those tattoo facilities. We've resumed or are in the process of resuming participation in coalition meetings. So prior to my time starting in 2014, we had a health education division. Actually it probably ended around 2012. And we had representation at all of anything locally health related. So the fatality review teams, tobacco-free coalition, things like that. We're resuming participation in those. We are setting aside some of our funding, hoping to partner with the commissioners on the new mental health facility. Commissioner Henry is setting me up with a meeting with the organization that's going to be running that facility for them to try to see where we could work together to kind of strengthen what they're doing there or expand on what they had originally planned. As you know, we were graciously funded by the commissioners for an expansion of our first floor. That created roughly, I think we had 4,800 square feet that's been finished from a bare warehouse look, filthy, full of broken junk furniture, to now a fully functional nursing clinic and vital records division. The actual construction has concluded, and now we're kind of tying up loose ends. So last week I spent some time trying to get quotes on on roller shades for the windows. I have some staff that are trying to get us quotes on things like rugs and chair rails that we didn't plan for during the initial construction process. So our goal is to hopefully be moving vital records and nursing down to the first floor in May, at which time we would host some kind of open house to showcase everything. In the works for our department that we hope to have accomplished by June, we hope to launch TB testing again. Seems pretty basic, but our department quit doing that probably 12, 15 years ago. We want to offer TB testing to the public at a very convenient time. It's affordable rate so that they're not paying a doctor's visit to go in and get something done. By June, we hope to launch some version of Stop the Bleed training, CPR training, and first aid training. Dr. David Brand has graciously offered to assist us as a volunteer in providing the Stop the Bleed training. He's passionate about that topic, and we do see some demand for that. So local schools, we're really hoping to get into local schools to provide that, not only to the teachers and staff, but the students as well. We hope to be providing radon test kits to the public by May. So I've been working on a series of social media posts that we would use alongside that. I've been working to try to price out the purchase of the radon test kits. In the past, they were provided to health departments free through the American Lung Association. That went away years ago. So trying to find the best price for the best kits that we can get so we can provide those. It's a little known and often intentionally ignored issue that radon is present in Indiana, and it's a good contributor, or not good, it's a bad contributor towards cancer. Delaware County is in an area that's not considered the best when it comes to potential radon. STD testing, we are hoping to launch STD testing down in our nursing division sometime this summer or maybe third quarter of the year. We're investigating right now how we would go about doing that, whether it's our staff doing the testing or whether we are going to partner with another organization to come in and do the testing here with us. We are investigating the potential of issuing grants starting in 2025, maybe 2026, with the increased funding that we will receive through Health First Indiana. I had a meeting with Ball Brothers Foundation. I'm gonna meet with them again. They have very graciously offered to assist us in getting an understanding of the full grant-making process, procedures, best practices, so we want to make sure it doesn't turn into a circus of free money being handed out. But we recognize the value in issuing out grants to partner agencies that are accomplishing things that we wish to accomplish, but it would be obviously cheaper to just strengthen their initiatives than try to start our own.
And just to be clear, the public health money that was given to the state can now be allocated to partners to provide that you can, in essence, pay for to do that.
Yeah. As long as it's meeting the criteria set forth in those core public health services and the key performance indicators, yes. And we're investigating additional health screenings that we hope to offer, simple things like cholesterol screenings, blood pressure screenings, how and where we would do that. So another big ask of the state for local health departments is to increase the availability of the services that we provide. So we recognize that can't be done during office hours, Monday through Friday. So we'll be looking at expanding our normal services into evening hours, weekend hours. No increase in staffing hours, it would simply be a staggering of shifts. So vital records, for example, I may have someone in 8:30 to 4, and I may have someone else 9:30 to 5. Well, it doesn't cost the county anything extra, but now the public has an extra hour of accessibility to our office. Additionally, taking some of the services on the road, so seeking partnerships with maybe, for example, local churches in some neighborhoods to go in and offer screenings, to go in and offer STD testing. The sky's the limit, really. It's a matter of, right now, we're really trying to determine what all's in the community, where we could best try to fit in, and that's a monumental task right there. We have a lot going on in the community already.
Awesome.
Sounds great.
That's all I have.
Good in your spare time.
Thanks, Jamie. That's
Thank you, Jamie.
wonderful updates.
So, thank you.
Next, we have.
Oh, we got a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Okay, now we have edit 1112. 1112 edit projects, 5,482,296 for a total of 5,482,296.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Matt. This is just allocating the annual edit funds that we do every year, and one of the notes we had from finance was that it's, the two biggest expenses are our two bonds that are paid out of edit, so.
Correct. I'd like to report that last year this edit brought in $5,528,790.70. So we're below what we brought in last year, and I'm sure it's going to be went up. So,
That's the revenue generated, Sherry?
yes, sir.
There was a comment about it being asked for all up front. How was it asked
It's
for?
just easier that way. We don't have to come and bother you. We've done it that way for quite a few years. I don't know if it goes back to your time or not.
Well, when I was in office, we did it all in January.
Okay.
But in the last few years, it's all been half in January and then the half
Yeah.
again in June or July, whenever. It just never made any sense as to why only half of it was being allocated. Especially when you have these bond payments that come up in June, I think, in December. So,
And the money's still being invested, so,
How much are the bond payments gonna be roughly?
oh,
that's a good question.
yeah.
I know there's 1.6 in
What?
June for the jail, and I think there's,
1.9.
Is it
99.
okay, 1.99 in
Yeah.
June and
Something
December.
like that.
And then there's another one, the smaller one that was from 2014, that's about 500,000 or 600,000, I think, is, bonds that we're still paying on out of edit
for it. I think it's 2014.
Yeah.
110,000 every 6 months.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 2014 bond, I know that.
Do we know when that bond comes to completion? The smaller one?
34, I think it was a 20-year bond.
Is that the Amoresco next door?
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
There were several things in that particular bond that head out of that.
Well, to Matt's point, I'm only speaking for myself, which I'm always only speaking for myself. I never speak for anyone, and else I don't speak for the council. But for this particular topic, I would like to. You're not bothering me by coming and requesting it. I think that, you know, the commissioners and the council is kind of a little bit of a checks and balances amongst each other. And I think it's kind of, even though it can get mundane and routine with those economic development, I think for the public's sake, transparency, that it's probably imperative that we do this as often as possible. I really don't like, and I know it's easier to get it all at once. I would be more in favor of doing it multiple times a year with an itemized list. I'd like to know how each project is and how much dollar amounts go into it. If someone stops me in the hallway and asks me, I'd like to be able to give them that answer. All I can tell them is the majority of it's going to the jail. I don't have any clue what the rest of it is. For me, I'd like to have that information.
Councilman, there is the commissioners adopt an edit plan every 3 years. The next one comes up in 2025. There was one done in 2022. That edit plan is available. It is something that the commissioners approve and is available. As to the funding for all the different projects, that all information is always available in the auditor's office. And Sarah in the commissioner's office keeps track of the projects to make sure that the funding is within all of those. So all that information is available anytime you would like to have it.
Well, I understand that. I just think from a presentation standpoint, it would be beneficial for you to provide it to us when you come in and ask for the money.
Well, the edit plan was published and approved by the commissioners in 2022. I think we're only on the first revised, which is the fewest number of revisions that I can remember in a long time. So that plan has been around since at least 2022.
I had been getting I did request, I think it was from Sarah, maybe, or I don't know if you were involved, Tanya, but I did ask for the balances and the updates on that, what you're referring to, John. I haven't seen it in several months when I first started, or several months back. So we can get it, as to John's point. I haven't re-asked, I just haven't gotten it, as frequently as we were, so it would be nice to make sure we get that.
So we're happy to do that.
And then, are those bond, like the 2034 bond, are those bonds able to be paid off early if there was a relief element to that?
I think we looked at that for refinancing purposes, and I believe that there is a penalty for refinancing. And so that's why they weren't refinanced when the interest rates were lower. It was a significant penalty, several $100,000, so.
I feel like there was a penalty if we also paid it off early
Right.
for the jail portion. I do recall that when we made
Yeah, I
the
was
vote.
referring more to the other one, like,
The other one, there was a penalty too, because we looked at that also to refinance it when interest rates were lower.
Well, speaking of interest rates, that's another concern that I have about giving all of this money all at once in March. If, I believe when we had a meeting before, it was suggested that the interest money that we generate, I can't remember if it was from the ARP money, I believe it was from the ARP money, that the council wouldn't be having control over that, the commissioners would be taking control of that interest money. It wouldn't go back into the general fund. So my concern,
Well, that's incorrect, Councilman, because the ARP interest money stays with the ARP in the ARP fund.
okay,
And the money is then appropriated as the council determines from project for the commissioner. So that, you have control over that money. That stays in the ARP fund. It can't go into the general fund. It can't go anyplace else. It has to stay in the ARP fund.
okay, so I was incorrect on that one. But my concern on this particular one is if we give all of the edit money away now, then we lose the interest money that we would generate from
That's
this.
incorrect.
Is that not
That's
correct?
incorrect as well.
Okay.
Because the edit
Help
money
me
is a
understand it.
separate fund. The edit fund, it comes from income taxes from the taxpayers of Delaware County. It's a separate fund segregated in the auditor's office. If you appropriate the money now, it's still gonna be it's still gonna be in there. It's still gonna be invested by the treasurer. It's still gonna earn interest in that particular fund. And what it's gonna do is gonna increase that fund only.
Okay,
And it's part of the overall investment scheme that the treasurer has to lump the money together and then segregate it out. So if you appropriate this money now, if you appropriate it, it's gonna be placed into the account, it's gonna be invested. The bonds don't get paid until June and December. So that money's gonna earn interest between now and June and December.
so what you're saying, the only difference would be if we waited 2 months, we would just be appropriating more money that whatever that had generated with the interest included, correct?
No, no, not at all. The interest is gonna be the interest. It's gonna stay in the edit fund. The reason that we're asking, or the commissioners are asking for the appropriation now is because it's a one-time appropriation. You can only use it for the edit fund. You can only use it for these particular projects as per the statute under the plan. So why not appropriate it now? It gets placed in the fund, it gets invested, and then the income is generated, and then the commissioners can look at the plan in 2025 to revise the plan or change the plan.
They can't spend any money until we do this appropriation.
Exactly right.
No, I understand that. I guess I was struggling to understand the interest it generated. Does it go now and stays with this 5 million or whatever it is, 5.4 million? Or let's say we waited 2 months and that 5 million generated more interest and then it would go with that as well. It doesn't matter. It's a wash. Is
It
that what you're
always
saying?
stays with the edit.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
Carry cash, there's over $1 million cash balance they carry in that fund.
Yes, you may. Go ahead, Tanya.
Interest is based on our total. A fund is the amount of money that you're appropriating in that fund. But all of our funds together, that should balance with our cash in the bank. The interest is accumulating on the cash in the bank. So you can appropriate and the money is still there.
So you say it don't matter
But
where it's at.
It doesn't.
Gotcha.
It's as it gets spent out of the fund through the year, that our balance decreases or whatever, to where your interest fluctuates based on your in and out, just like your home does.
Gotcha. Thank
So
you.
in June, when he makes payment, that's when the interest will drop. Interest that we accumulate, the amount we have to accumulate interest on.
I guess you could say that because of the amounts, being paid out at that point. in
You're saying as
time.
long as it's a bank, it don't matter what fund it's in,
Correct.
the interest is gonna be the same regardless. Okay,
Big picture.
I understood that part. I guess my question would have been that interest money that's generated. I guess I was thrown off by the whole that we won't have control of the interest that we make. Who will control the interest is what I'm getting at.
Treasurer's in charge of.
The treasurer makes the investment. The treasurer has an investment program that they follow. They make the investment. And then the funds are kept in the county. And the only way money can be spent is through the appropriation process.
So, and that's the money that Brad was talking about, the additional $3 to $4 million, whatever. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
All right, any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
No.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right.
Motion to approve financial transfers and amend salary ordinance with like reductions.
Second.
Motion by Eugene, second by Dan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on to ordinances and resolutions. We all received resolution number 2024-005. It's a resolution declaring an area within Delaware County, Indiana as an economic revitalization area for Kaleidoscope Properties LLC. Do we have someone here to speak on? John, are you speaking on?
I'm here no, please. It's your
Okay.
project. I'm just here for the redevelopment commission.
Okay.
And help sponsor this. So please, come on.
I realized someone else would be here to speak.
Morning and welcome.
Hi, thank you. So I am the owner of Kaleidoscope Kids. Met with Brad a while back about, just asking for some help with on the tax abatement. And the reason is just, just in summary, I guess, the cost of the facility, where it started to where it ended is significantly more, which makes sense. But the real reason that I'm asking is just because we've made a move here to try to really make a difference in our community with regards to childcare, and some of the things that we want to do then get kind of put on a back burner. And so I guess additional help would help us continue to do things that will benefit our community. I've joined a couple committees. I was asked to be on a board for a committee at the George and Francis Ball Foundation, known as Changemakers. We're working really hard to try to get some good things going for childcare in the area. And then also I'm a part of the By Five organization. So at Kaleidoscope Kids, we're trying to be like a model child care facility for other facilities in our area. We want to try to bring in therapy for the children that are on this, big, long wait list to see therapies. We are working to just provide more training for our staff, because the staffing that we have at, child cares in the area currently is very poor. Many children are not prepared for kindergarten at this time. And we are very successful with putting our kids into kindergarten, in a good place. So that's just kind of the reason, it's just one more thing to help. And then after the project started, then we realized even additional expenses like the green infrastructure and, just clearing invasive species and just all of the things that go with, I guess, potentially starting, trying to clear a field and start a business. So those are just some of the things that, I guess, some of the reasons that I'm really looking for some assistance just to try to make a difference in our community. The last thing I'll say that pushes me even harder to try to make this difference is that during construction, I went in every Thursday and met with parents that are looking for childcare. Our facility at this time is full. I would love to just be able to build on, honestly, or build somewhere else, but the facility is full. And I met with people from, men that are digging sewers to our newest neurosurgeon in town. So all to say, we've got all of the new corporations or companies that have come in our area. And I would also love to keep those people here, as someone else said earlier, not have them come in and, train in our family practice center and then go somewhere else to work. And a huge part of that is just having good childcare. So our goal is just to, like I said, be a model child care center, and our role has changed in the community from a very private situation to, a center, which is a much more professional, I guess a center has a much larger impact on the community than the private does. So that's kind of where we're at.
So Janelle, right?
Yes.
So where's your facility, where do you have childcare today?
Where the Kaleidoscope?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at the corner of Wheeling and Moore Road.
No, not the new one.
Near Ball State, in-home.
In-home,
Mhm.
okay, all right. So you started this project
A
years
long time
ago, I would assume? Okay,
A long time ago.
all right. So relative to the, and I mean, I totally agree with you. Obviously, childcare is an enormous gap in
Bad.
our community. This is a for-profit business,
Correct.
okay? You're not gonna be receiving state money for childcare, correct? So it's
Oh,
for,
state as in government funding, like CCDF?
yeah.
Yes,
or-
we do. We are, part of our goal was to reach more families that are CCDF families.
Okay,
That means, poverty-ridden families who
Those
get,
are subsidized programs, correct?
it's a subsidizing program
For the parents,
for the parents.
yes.
like what percentage do you serve for that?
The goal is 25% right now, and we are just under that.
Okay.
I would love to serve more.
Okay.
That was, one of the goals for opening, is to meet the highest standards and serve that population.
Was there any plan, I know this abatement has come after the fact in essence, but was there no plan to ask for it previously?
Can I be really, really honest? I didn't even know,
Preferably.
I didn't even know that there was such a thing. And then through talking to people and understanding more, like, again, out in the public world, how things work, I was like, oh my gosh, is that something that we could still do just because of trying to turn a field into a, you know, a childcare facility? So
Is this, you don't have to answer this, I suppose, but is the build and the construction, is it all being funded via loans, investors?
it is, and,
Yes to both?
and yes,
Okay,
loans, not investors, loans.
okay. You're the sole owner?
I'm the sole owner,
Okay. All right.
so.
Curious question that was brought up to me, is there any problem with it being so close to the jail?
Well, it's not
No,
by
it's
jail.
north.
It's North
Oh,
Wheeling.
Okay, it's North
It's
Wheeling.
over by Halton.
Oh, I see that, it looked like the jail.
We're
I
hoping to
apologize.
raise children on, to
Yeah.
keep them away from there, so. So, no, there's not.
Yeah, I was looking, I thought that was the jail facility. No, I apologize.
No problem.
I drive by there often, so I've been paying attention to what's going on and just seeing all the progress, because I come up Wheeling or down Wheeling quite a bit. And I can recall that field having a for sale sign in it
Forever.
forever. So I'm just thrilled that something was going on in that area. And the rumor, I always heard was that it was like in a floodplain, so I'm sure you had to do work to get just the grounds ready to build any structure on there, so you have those costs, I'm sure.
Well, even now, it's like, there's only a portion of it, you know, that can be used in that way, so I'm still trying to ask for help to get playground equipment in the floodplain so we can utilize the buildable space, you know.
How many acres is this on?
It's 10.84.
In the,
Daycare centers, that's for profit.
I'm sorry?
The majority of daycare centers in the county are not-for-profit, affiliated with a not-for-profit. This is one of the few. I think there's only like 2 or 3 in the whole county that are for-profit.
And may I add, by for-profit, this girl has had no paycheck for about 5 or 6 months now because we're building a building.
And for-profit, theory only, theory only,
Thank you.
theory only.
So in the application, or in the abatement committee, it says that the application was filed in October. The SB one was filed on November. What's taking so long to get here?
That would fall really on the tax abatement committee, shoulders, I think.
Okay.
It just took, we were gonna try to schedule it in January and, couldn't find a date. I think that was the issue that, with her council and our council. So it got kicked over to February.
Okay.
So the delay from November to February doesn't fall on Ms. Kramer.
Okay.
I have some questions, Mr. Kramer. I guess I'm gonna be the bad guy for a moment.
You go right ahead, I'm okay with that.
First of all, I applaud the daycare and bringing it to the community because it is needed.
Thank you.
I live out by that. I live in Haltman and I drove by. It's a gorgeous facility.
Thank you,
You guys have, really got a nice place.
thank you.
Now to the concerns that I have. We just went through a deal with the tax abatement with the solar farm, and one of the biggest deals was declaring it an ERA, right? In order to receive a tax abatement, a company or a business must be declared an ERA, an economic revitalization area. Definition is an area that is within the corporate limits of a city, town, or county that has become undesirable for or impossible of normal development and occupancy. Now, I believe before we built the beautiful building, it was crop field, right? Corn, beans, whatever. So it's being utilized.
It wasn't actually, it was just laying fallow for the last several years. It wasn't even being used for harvest at all. It was just a field
Okay.
that they had to mow. So, I mean, it was undeveloped for at least 15, 20 years, as far as I know.
For me, and I kind of figured when you come late, I theorized that it was probably a situation where, hey, I'm building a building, I built the building, and now I found out about the tax abatement process. Exactly what you just said, a second ago. Oh man, I hope I can get in on that. For me, again, playing devil's advocate, being the bad guy here, I'd have a difficult time declaring an ERA currently on a place that has a beautiful probably at least $1 million building. I mean, it looks that way. It looks like an expensive building.
About 3.6.
How much?
About
3.6, so yeah, even harder to declare the ERA, right? Because it's not, I mean, it's not undesirable no more. It's got a beautiful building on it. The other aspect of it,
But the point of an ERA, developing an ERA, is that it didn't have a $3.6 million building on it before.
well, I get that. I understand that, but that's why, I mean, processes are processes, what I was talking about earlier on. That, again, I'm only speaking for myself. That would be difficult for me to get there because of that. The other thing would be, I know you said you'd receive some state, funding, right, with the,
Like
with the
per child,
subsidy.
like, yeah.
So you don't get the funding, it's like the parents
Like
who are
the
getting it?
Parents get their childcare for free,
Okay.
for example. So instead of the parents paying me, it's like for poverty-ridden families. If
Mhm.
you're, you know, below a certain level of income, then you get your childcare paid for free.
I got you.
That's
So,
a voucher program.
I'm sorry, voucher program.
Over here.
Oh, sorry. Voucher program, yes, the voucher program.
kind of, in a sense, taxpayers are already subsidizing part of the business.
That's not correct.
Help me understand it if it's not correct. If it's state funded,
Well, they're subsidizing the parent.
If your question is the state, giving to Kaleidoscope money for operations, that is, in my world, that is not correct. What really is happening is the state is allowing low-income families to, place their children in a facility where they can become, what's the right word here? Nurtured, I guess, may be a good word. These are people that are gonna be,
or an opportunity.
yeah, an opportunity for them, which if it hadn't been for the state to allocate to the parents some funding, those kids probably, I don't know
They
where
wouldn't be in daycare.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like it's
recognize that,
a,
but
it's,
if I can finish real fast. But that state allocated funds are coming from taxpayer, which then goes to a for-profit business that helps sustain that business. Is that's the angle I'm talking
I'd be
about.
the same if a grocery store accepts food stamps, so is the state funding that grocery store?
I don't understand how the food stamp program works. I don't know,
It's the
maybe they
same
are.
thing.
Taxpayer dollars.
Same thing, the patron or parent receives a benefit, which they can elect, they don't have to go there.
no.
I
They
think
can go to another childcare facility.
I get all that, but what I'm saying is your facility collects money somewhere from that child.
It's like,
the money from the
it's
state.
like collecting money from, like, we either have self-pay or we have the TCDF. And I want to add to this from not a procedure or process, but these children are children who go home at the end of the day to addiction, to poverty, to neglect, to whatever else is going on in their home. We are the only chance they have. So even if it were what you say, does it really matter? Well, I mean, does it?
It's only 25% too.
It's
I
so
do,
small.
again, I'm sympathetic to the cause. I don't want to be labeled as someone who doesn't, appreciate childcare, especially for at-risk people. I'm just trying to get to the basics of it. And it's a for-profit business asking for a tax abatement subsidized by the taxpayers. And it's easy to get caught up in the warm and fuzziness of childcare, but we gotta also pay attention to the
So if I were
to the real
nonprofit,
numbers.
then it wouldn't be a big deal for you.
No, it's not.
It'd be an abatement 100%.
My
They
issue
never
isn't so
pay-
much
they
that
never
it's
pay
a
taxes.
nonprofit or for-profit. My issue is that it's already built. And it's coming after the fact. That's just me.
I mean,
and-
it's
and
kind
the-
of built, but it's.
Well, hang on, Janelle. So that is fair.
I mean, I drove by the other
In
day,
the
there were 50
process,
cars in
not
the
for
parking lot.
Janelle or her business, it is fair that the tax abatement process in Delaware County does not have any policies and procedures that dictate that you're late, so to speak.
Understand.
And you made a caveat in the abatement committee story, or in the notes, Bill, that doesn't exist, and so there really is nothing preventing us from providing this.
Yeah,
And
the only thing,
that is something we did discuss with Brad about altering and coming up with guidance to make sure that we're following rules if there's such a thing.
the deadline under the state statute is only that the abatement resolution has to be adopted within 60 days after the facility is assessed. So at that point, it's already built. Now, if you look at any other county, town, city in the state that I've been able to find, they have guidelines. A frequent guideline is that the abatement application should be filed before construction begins in the case of a building. If that's what the council wants to do, I can understand that, and it makes sense, because in my mind, and maybe in your mind, this is to be an incentive to build, not a reward for already having built.
Or a lifeline.
But we don't have any guidelines. That's the problem. So no one in the public knows that, gee, we're thinking you should do this before you start building. Okay. So that was the quandary that the tax abatement committee faced. On balance, number one, they thought this was a worthy project that the county should encourage. Number two, it provides, up to 45 jobs, I believe, which is a significant contribution to employment in the county. And as we've talked about a little bit when we discussed abatement earlier, it really doesn't cost the county anything because we're at the max levy. So we're going to receive our property taxes in the amount that the max levy dictates, whether we grant this abatement or not. So there's really no cost to us as a county. So that was, based on those considerations, that's why the council, or the committee, recommended approval, but also thought it imperative that this council take up, as we discussed earlier, with the solar, projects, that we set some guidelines. We need to be able to tell the public, here is what we are looking for, here is how we're going to evaluate your project, here is the timing that needs to be followed, none of which we have at this point.
Well, I'd like that. I'm glad that you suggested that, you pointed that out. You've been pretty good at finding things that we didn't really have in place before, like our lack of a rules package, and you put that together. So hopefully, we can have a process put in place. I know when we had that executive session, Matt had made a suggestion about adding a question to the application. Real quick, I want to make one last point, because I agree. I think it's a very good project. It's a worthy project. I think you said you're going from like 8 employees, somewhere around there, to like 40.
We have
Somewhere close. That's all great, but I don't feel like I'm doing my job if I don't point this out. The purpose of a property tax abatement, like Mr. Hughes said, is an incentive to incentivize a company to come here and develop. To Ms. Janelle's own words, it's not necessarily as a lifeline for increased construction costs or increased other costs that come along the way. That's not the purpose of a tax abatement. That's not what it was intentionally designed for, or initially designed for. I'm not gonna say any more about it, because I don't necessarily want to be responsible for killing your project. I just want to push this out there that, that's my position on it. So good luck to you, and, I'm glad you built the building, and hopefully you provide a lot of service to a lot of families.
Yeah. One last thing then I would like to say is that in my mind, when I did say, yeah, when I learned about it and was like, okay, I think I could probably do this, and I talked to Brad about it. The other part, it's like, yes, again, all of these people are coming to town to have business, we brought all these companies in, but again, there's no childcare for them. And so my thought was, and I'm not a person that's like, that's not fair for me. I'll be honest and say, with or without the abatement, I'm gonna survive, because that's my personality. So it's no lifeline for me.
Tell that.
Okay, it's not a lifeline. But I will tell you this, I am on a mission to take care of our community's kids. So that's what I'm after. But also, if a company can come in from, somewhere else, it's their incentive. I'm saying my incentive is to come in here and make a difference in the world of childcare, which is the foundation to our community.
We're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle.
Anything else?
And I do want to note, at the very top of Resolution 2024-005, it says it has requested that the Delaware County Council approve a 5-year phased-in real estate tax deduction for a new facility being built by the company. So in 5 years, the tax abatement is done.
That's right.
And so they typically are like a 80-60, 40-20 kind of
Yes.
thing. So This one's only 5.
It's typically like, what, 10 years and it drops off 10%
It can
each
vary.
year?
I mean, it could be 3 years. I mean, and be phased out that way too. So it just depends. They're all a little bit different. There's not necessarily a standard.
Yeah, and so just to be
It's not
clear,
100% abatement either, so.
Yeah.
it's not 100%. The estimated savings to the daycare is about 73,000 in taxes. And to Bill's point, there's no direct impact to us from a county standpoint.
And if for some reason they don't hold their end of the bargain, we do get to have the opportunity to go back and recover those monies. So that's out there too.
But you want to see her yearly though.
Great. Come in and hang out with us.
Happy to share
Give us
it.
an update, for sure. Any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call please, on resolution 2024-005.
Mr. Webb? I'm gonna vote no on the process, but not for the facility. Good luck to you and your facility.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Mokel.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Great.
One comment is the process, this will now be advertised for a public hearing, for the April meeting, at which time, after the public comment, then the board will consider, or the council will consider a confirming resolution, and that's the last step in the process from our point of view. So you'll need to be here in April. I'll work with, Mr. Walters to get the advertising done and our council, so that we're prepared in April.
Also, Ms. Janelle, it may help if you have a couple, supporters to come with you. I doubt anyone would show up in opposition, but if they did, it's also good to have the other side speaking on behalf of it.
The concern?
Who made the motion to approve the resolution and who
Good
seconded it?
question. Would someone like to make that motion?
So
Can we go
moved.
back? Can we retro?
Second.
Dan?
Just want to make sure that we haven't already.
Yeah.
We
I
went through a
I didn't
roll
write
call
anything
without-
down, so that's on me.
For this one,
Yeah.
that we just did,
Didn't we initially?
I thought I made it.
I thought the web made it and I seconded it.
Oh, okay,
I just want to make sure I didn't have it in my notes. and
okay.
just clarifying.
I didn't have it down. All right, so Ryan, motion, second by Dan. Okay. On to appointments and committee reports. I believe we do have a committee update, Eugene?
Yes, for the code of conduct, I just wanted to let the council know that it's been written up and distributed to the committee. We're in the process of reviewing it. And then eventually we'll get it to council to make sure we've dotted our i's and crossed our t's before we present it to the full council.
Does the, stuff we heard yesterday about the state's approval of that bill have any
The
impact?
quorum bill, I don't think that will have an effect on the code of conduct, because the code of conduct is basically for elected officials, those inside the county building, and the quorum was basically for the public and audience, correct?
Any other, committee reports? Don't believe we have any old or new business. Elected officials and department heads.
So I have two things for you. The first one is the one that I come up for every year. I would implore the council again to look at the transfer process for employees.
We are,
Okay,
we're real close,
I'm bringing it up now because we're coming into budget time, so if we're gonna change it, it would be really beneficial to
real
do that.
close.
Perfect. Second thing, I'm gonna give you all a heads up. Mike Ashley was not able to be here today from EMS. I also talked to Tony. You should expect later in the year to get requests for additional appropriations for overtime, especially from public safety agencies, due to some of the events that have happened and are still going to happen, throughout the rest of the year. I know overtime budgets, especially in the public safety departments, are going to be significantly underfunded for the year. So I want to give you that heads up now, so that it's not a shock when you see it later this year. We have taken some tremendous hits in overtime, all the departments, Tony's, EMS, mine, and we were not funded for what we had to go through so far this year. The eclipse, I can tell you, at least just from my standpoint and from Mike's, is going to take a lot of extra manpower and a lot of extra money. So just, I'm just giving you guys that heads up now.
We had discussed this a little bit at finance committee too, because obviously you don't plan for those disasters to occur, so
So that's all I got.
No,
Thank you.
If I remember, we didn't talk about any of that. I mean, I know the Eclipse has been on the calendar for 2,000 years, but we didn't bring it up at budget meeting, I don't think. So that's why a lot of this overtime wasn't really, I don't think we thought that far out. I didn't
Well,
really, I
not to
just
talk
figured it'd
for
get
the-
dark for a little bit and then that'd be the end of it, but
Not to talk
apparently
for
it's a lot
Tony,
more.
but, you know, when Tony and I had this discussion, I mean, their department's taking a hit because, you know, they had 4 inmates in the hospital for several days and I mean, that's all overtime. So there's been a whole perfect storm this year, not to use the word storm, but, in a lot of different departments. So I think we all said during the budget process, I know I did, you know, overtime is something that we don't have a lot of control over. And so while we raised the amount that we appropriated or put in the budget for overtime, I even said at that point that wouldn't be enough because of $80,000 when I'm averaging 100 to 120,000 a year. You know, and the other thing that we don't have the availability to do this year because of the budget crunch last year is we were always able to find money within our budget, right? Because we could move some stuff around and we don't have that ability this year because we don't have that real flexibility because of everything that was pared down. So it is a perfect storm, unfortunately. So just giving everybody a heads up now.
appreciate it. Thank you. Any other elected officials or department heads? We did receive an email from the coroner just kind of giving us an update because he could not attend today on how things are going. They've budgeted for roughly 11 autopsies each month, and so far they're currently at 33. So kind of keep your eye on those numbers. Gavin does a good job of sending out reports to us to give us some data and metrics, and we can watch trends on what's going on with his department. So if you haven't taken a chance to look at that, you might want to pull that up.
I just wanted to bring up what we heard about yesterday relative to this broadband equity access and deployment program. So there's a Indiana State Department of Broadband office that has been created. They're in the midst of collecting, well, they've already collected, but now they're in the challenge phase of information around underserved or unserved areas relative to broadband in Indiana. Anybody who's listening may recall there was $868 million allocated to the state of Indiana by the federal government specifically to be spent on getting broadband access to really everybody is, I think, the goal for this. But what we heard yesterday, which resonated with me, and I think if the county hasn't already posted this, I think we should, which is, there is a map, there's a website called connectingindiana.com. There is a map where you can see whether or not your address literally falls on the map that the FTC has put out. And what the process is currently is that we government officials, along with nonprofits and somebody else, can challenge. The general public cannot challenge that, but if you do look, it allows you to test your internet. If it shows it as an underserved area that you live in, or your house literally does not receive what you think you're getting from an internet standpoint, you can test that and you can email one of us or to the county council in general, and we can submit a challenge that you are not receiving the internet that you are listed as. The reason that's important is, there's pockets, I can name at least a dozen of them, that on a stretch of road where everybody gets Xfinity access or some other high-speed internet access is available, but there are homes within that area that do not. And as a result, that home may not be listed. They may be listed as they have access, and Comcast may have told them they have access, may have told the state that they have access, when in fact they don't. And so, for those that work from home, have school-aged children, whatever, it is important to get that if it's going to be feasible to get. This challenge process ends March 4th, or June 3rd, June 3rd. It started March 4th, it ends June 3rd. So anybody listening, I think we should try to put that out there because, we have plenty of areas in our county that do not get any broadband access. Eugene and I were having this conversation about his 30 megabyte access, which I would bet a lot is probably not 30, and so that he would sit as an underserved location out in the county. So if anybody has any questions about that, feel free to approach me and let me know.
What was that website again?
Connectingindiana.com is what it's under. All right, thanks.
Did we have anyone sign up for public comment? Does anyone have anything to share for public comment? All right, we'll move on to comments from the council. I have a few. One, last night, Councilman Whitehead, Cantz, Mokel, Flanagan, and myself attended the Association of Indiana Counties East Central District meeting. And as Mr. Cantz pointed out, there's a lot of really good information that was shared with us to help us be able to help serve our communities better. And a part of that is we actually had access to our state reps and senators last night too, to talk about upcoming legislation, and we went through in great detail all the new bills that are going into play starting like July 1st, so we could understand how those impact us at a county level. So that was really informative. Commissioner Reagan joined us as well. Actually, we had the auditor's office and the treasurer's office there too. So really well represented, and I'm just really proud of our council for doing these events. We don't have the budget. If you guys recall, we don't have a budget for these types of events. So we're all paying out of pocket and using our own time to attend. And I'm so proud because we continue to be one of the best represented counties at these types of events. Secondly, I do want to address the storms that came through. I guess it's been like a week and a half at this point, probably. I just want to give kudos to our commissioners activating our highway department to get them out to help with tree removal so AEP could get in and get electricity back. Our EMA did a great job of keeping us informed. They have on their Facebook page, there was a link you could go to log any damage that you had. They were then able to build maps so you could see a good pathway of what happened here in our community. They also provided links to 211, so if you need any additional resources for those of you in the affected areas, you can go on there, you can call, or you can get on the website to fill out the form. I did suffer hail damage at my home, and I filled out the EMA form on their website, and our building commissioner, Tom Fouch, has actually personally called all of us who have filled out that form to give us a heads up on what to be aware of and scammers and different things, and that was very much appreciated, that extra step. I don't know if that was in their plan to do that all along, but I very much appreciate it as someone who was impacted by the storm. Members of our county government, along with some state representation and Homeland Security, attended an event on Friday where our assessor's office was able to provide information to those who were impacted on how their property taxes are going to be handled moving forward, especially for those who no longer have structures on those properties. We had the Board of Health there as well to talk about vaccines and getting new birth certificates and that kind of stuff. We had a representative from Victoria Spartz, Congresswoman Spartz' office, on how to get passports and different documents from them as well. At the meeting, I also had the opportunity to talk to our local extension. So if anyone had any ag damage out in their fields or any debris and whatnot, that they can contact our Purdue Extension office to get some assistance and help with that cleanup. And then also too, I don't think I'm leaving anyone out, but if you feel compelled to donate, the United Way is accepting funds, and you can also make checks payable to the town of Selma. And then in the notes section of your check, just make sure you indicate that it's for the storm relief or the tornado or whatever. But I'm just really thankful for the employees we have in place and the teamwork that we had. And like, I know Sheriff's Department was out there working to all come together and assist Selma and all these needs. I was blown away by what I saw a couple weeks ago, and then even just coming back through town on Friday, seeing all the cleanup and the amount of cleanup that has happened. I'm just so darn proud of our community. We need to continue to lift those folks up in prayer and help them in any way that we can. And, to leave kind of on a positive note for myself, we need to all cheer on those Wapahani Raiders that stayed on Saturday. So whether you're a Raider or not, this Eagle will be cheering on those Raiders. So that's what I have. Any other comments from council?
I have a couple comments as well. Touch base on what President Piper said. You know, that tornado, that was, you'd think living in the Midwest would be accustomed to that, but it's still, very, very rarely do they actually touch down nearby, and they did quite a bit of damage. And all of our county, emergency workers and the dispatchers and, you know, our highway department workers, they all did a wonderful job, but there's some other folks who did a wonderful job out there. I don't know, they may have been recognized, I'm not quite sure if they did, but our small town, volunteer fire departments, I know they were out there. I was out in Selma the next day, in the morning out there about 7 a.m. and there were some guys out there from the fire department, been out there all night long. And I've been in touch with a couple of them since then. And, you know, they're really the front line of defense for a lot of these small towns, is those volunteer fire departments. So big kudos to those guys, for continuing to look over, keep those rural areas, protected. That's all volunteer basis. I don't know, there might be some people that are paid out there, but I think they're pretty much all volunteers. So that's all I got to say about that. I got two other things here. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, we went through today with the, what I call pay raises in the middle of a budget season or of a fiscal season. And one of the things that's gonna happen come September is a lot of these county employees, this is difficult for me because I think all our county employees are way underpaid. I want everybody to have a raise, but I think we have to have a process and a structure to it. So even though I'm voting no, I'm not voting no against the salary increase. I think everyone deserves it and probably a lot more. Matter of fact, when we get the salary study back, I think we're all gonna be in for a rude awakening, but, you know, the process needs to be followed. So with that being said, there's gonna be a lot of people that come in when these department heads turn in this budget in September, wanting a salary increase. And there's something I'm gonna bring up. I'm gonna bring it up right now, and hopefully, we can maybe correct a little bit of this before we get to that point, because this is what I'm gonna say when everyone asks for those large salary increases. I sit up here at the seat, and I sit at home and I watch a lot of meetings that get live streamed. And I can't help but notice that we often have county employees that sit in these meetings on the clock, getting paid, that have nothing to do with the meeting. They're not on the agenda, they're not coming up to the podium, they're not, speaking, they're not asking questions, they're just sitting here sitting on the clock, getting paid for 2 hours, taxpayer money. That's not okay. And I think we have to do a better job with, our department heads and our county employees with a little bit of pure accountability and say, hey guys, I guarantee there's people in this room right now or in this building that are sitting at their desk listening to this meeting, live streaming it. Because it's live stream, and even that's really not, you're not focused, but that's a lot better than being completely away from your job, where other people have to pick up your work, shoulder the burden of the work that you're particularly missing, especially if you're already short-staffed, so people can sit in a meeting that has nothing to do with them. I watched it in the 2 election board meetings, it's even happened in this meeting, it's happened in budget meetings. We gotta do better at that. This is county tax-paying money that we're earning, for the service of the taxpayer and the community, and we have to be aware of that when we're sitting there collecting our paychecks in a room that has nothing to do with us at that time. Now, if you have to be there, obviously you have to be there, but if not, just have a little bit of self-awareness and a little bit of self-accountability and ask yourself if you really should be in that meeting collecting a paycheck at that moment. Because I'm gonna bring it up when it comes time for raises. Hopefully, it's not something I have to bring up because it's not an issue anymore. The other thing, I was asked, a couple of people had asked us questions, you know, people were upset they didn't get raises last year, and asking about the remodel. I'm happy to report I got a response, for our some remodels going on in the building, that is out of a unappropriated taxpayer fund, or tax sale fund. That's not coming from a county general, that's not coming from money that could be used to give pay raises. So if there's any county employees out there who's frustrated, want to know why we appropriated or approved a remodel, I'm happy to tell you that this money was utilized out of a different fund for that. And I'm also happy to say, it looks like they did a lot of the work themselves, so they saved, the money is just for materials. So, that is just for those people who are asking about those questions. And if you have more questions, I can give you more details in a one-on-one. I don't really think it's appropriate for me to say it up here. So feel free to reach out to me if you have, some more of those questions. Last thing I'm gonna say. I'm slightly frustrated. I come into this meeting slightly frustrated today, and I think every other council member should be frustrated as well. We sit in this room last month, and we were asked to sign off on a part-time salary increase from $15 an hour to $25 an hour, and when we shared concern about the range being from 20 to 25, and at the time, the department head would make that decision of what that person earned. We shared our concerns, and I believe, Councilmember Hughes made the motion. We set it at $20 an hour, and I think we all felt pretty good about that. That's a reasonable rate for part-time. We control the salaries of the county employees. I couldn't help but be frustrated at the very next meeting, commissioners completely circumvented us and went around us and authorized a contract employee to be hired out of state for $35 an hour. And we set the salaries. And I felt like that was a middle finger to us, slap in the face. And I'm often told, Ryan, stay in your lane. And I feel like that was an opportunity where somebody should have stayed in their lane. And I felt like it was important for me to address that. And, you know, it's unfortunate. But that's all I'm going to say about that. I hope all of you get an opportunity to experience that solar eclipse. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be the first to say, I didn't even give it a second thought until I watched the commissioners meeting and I seen how much detail they were putting, how much preparedness they were doing in preparation for this event. I got to give them credit. They really looked into what other communities have went through with this eclipse. And before learning that through their meeting, I had no idea that like the traffic was going to be a nightmare. You know, the community was going to basically double in size, and you know, so plan accordingly for that. I know I will be. I'm going to hopefully try to take the day off work, but I hope everyone gets to enjoy the once in a lifetime experience. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Do we have any additional comments from council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Roll call, please.
Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Mr. Mokel,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt,
Yes.
Cantz,
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Our next meeting is Tuesday, April 23rd at 9 a.m. Same location. We'll see you then. Thank you.